gratitude might be a perfect place to start if you want to share what that means to
Oh my gosh, do you have a whole day for me to explain what gratitude means to me? I never quite, I knew that I was always grateful for things and was intentional with showing gratitude and giving gratitude. Um, and to me, gratitude is just really, it's a state of mind, it's a state of being, and it's understanding that no matter in what space, situation, or circumstance you are presented with or placed in, that there's always room or there's always something that you can be thankful for. And I always say gratitude is my love language because it allows me to um, really, when other words escape me, just showing words of gratitude and thankfulness and like how grateful I am to someone for doing this. And it can be the very most minute thing, but even finding gratitude, just in gratitude in this conversation that allowed us to, come together and have this conversation on this platform.
I love that so much. It's something that I've been working on myself, truly embodying. I love the way you put that because it's a different place to want to do something and to have
Hmm.
intention to do it, and to live it and feel what it feels like to have gratitude. And next level for me, I've been working on showing gratitude for my problems or my challenges because
Mm,
that's really what those are, right? So sometimes I'll find
hmm.
myself saying, this is just an opportunity to expand my capacity for increased abundance and love and success and all the good
Yeah.
feelings that I want. So I've been
Yes.
I've been working on it. And it's yielded some amazing stuff because immediately it changes your mindset to look
100%.
for what the silver lining is in that. I think that's a beautiful thing.
100%. I love that and seeing it, being grateful for the challenges, right? Or the just being grateful for the rain. Like it's raining and cold here, but it makes you appreciate the sunshine and it makes you appreciate the change in the season. So definitely love that.
Love it. What do you think of that, Coach?
Well, Brie, I love what you said about like this is what I heard anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that gratitude is your default. Like there's if there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere else to go. You always can go back to the gratitude and just like reset and start there and just whatever it is, you can
Mm-hmm.
always come back to starting from that point, and there's always a place to build on from there. So
Yep.
that's what I heard.
Yep.
I'm wondering if you can weave it, if you will, into your path, career path, but also life path. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you didn't come out of the womb being grateful. But so, how did you arrive at this point, and what does it mean for all your businesses and projects that you're working on right now?
I literally came out of the womb was like, I'm grateful to be here. No.
Right from the beginning.
Grateful at birth. No, I from a career standpoint, so I started out working for a cable company that has since been acquired for 17 years. Yeah, they recruited me when I was 10, but I was working there and showing up, swiping the clock, and still grateful and still just I've always just been a person, I guess you can say that always saw the positive and saw things as negative, tried to find the positive, the silver lining. Um, in all the negative. And I don't know that in that space that I would have even given it the word gratitude. But it was more so once I got laid off from my job there, and thankfully had a good segue into real estate. I was like, Lord, you know it took to get this license. Like, I just want the perfect storm to arise so I can just go into it because I knew that, at heart, I have a servant's heart and I love to help people and come from contribution. So I wanted this to work out badly. And the perfect storm arose where I didn't have to go down with the Titanic. And I was able to go into real estate and just in those spaces it allowed me to see that it's a relationship business and how it never is about the sale, as a good friend told me when I was getting into the business. It's always about the relationship.
Mm.
And as I got mature as a person and as a businesswoman, business owner, I saw how that really shows up on a consistent basis in just coming from contribution and just reaching out and just letting people know that hey, I'm so grateful for your business. I'm grateful for you aligning your goals, your real estate goals with me. So just finding minute ways to insert gratitude. From a personal standpoint, it really didn't show up for me. See, what I do is like 2 years ago, I would go on every Tuesday and I call it my gratitude Tuesday or gratitude Tuesday, and I would find something to be grateful for. I go on Facebook Live and just share it, right? And it was more so for me, but I would start to see people are like, I've been watching your gratitude and I'm seeing how it's, it inspires me. And I'm like, wait a minute, like this is something that people need and they need in their life and in their world. But little did I know exactly how much I would need it until this past year in 2020. Roll in a pandemic, roll in just so much uncertainty. And on top of that, roll in me losing my baby sister, Dinah, at the age of 38
Mhm.
to an autoimmune disease called scleroderma. Had no idea what the word was, how to spell it. I just knew that it robbed my sister of her joy. And she was always one that was live and rambunctious and never meant to be a non-contributor in the corner of the room. And for me, my family, it totally knocked us, like took the breath out of us, right? And here I am in the most heartbreaking time of my life. And it's in that moment where it's like, what is there to be grateful for when my best friend of 43 years of 38 years is now gone, right?
Mhm.
And the conversation that I had with my coach was my business coach. I said, I want to take enough time so that I heal and process and mourn and do whatever I need to do in a healthy and manage my emotional way. And also, I know that there's still work to be done. And
Mhm.
I know that I still have to get back to it. So the question my coach asked me was like, "What's the one thing that you want to focus on that will make everything else easier or unnecessary?" And for me, it was really the small amount of time, the 2 hours a day that I sat down at my desk and did my business and just stayed focused on that. And at the onset of COVID, what we would do is just reach out to people and make what we call care calls.
Mhm.
Basically, it could be anybody in our phone. I look at my phone, I've got 1,200 contacts. Half of these people I don't know who they are anymore, and it was just really just taking your phone and just going down that list and simply asking them 3 words of, "Hey, how are you doing in all of this?" And what I found was no matter what hell I had going on behind this virtual background I sit in front of, when I would reach out to someone else and just check on them and say, "Hey, I'm just so grateful for our friendship," or "I'm so grateful for the way that you show up in my life." No matter where they are, they could be at the very end of their rope, but it was just that one spark that gave them what they needed. And in turn, it filled me up because they had no clue that I had hell going on inside in my heart. But it filled me up enough to where you do that and you multiply it times 10. You can't help but elevate your state of mind and know that in doing that, you've also like been an enlightener to other people. So that's just kind of how it's shown up. It really just kind of like crept its way in where it's always kind of been back there in that background. But boy, I tell you, last year was when it was really like my saving grace to get to even be able to sit and talk about losing my sister without being in a puddle in the corner. That's how I sustained it. And I realized in all of that that it is a choice, and I choose joy. I choose gratitude. There are some days that I get up and I want to be in a fetal position in the corner and just not come out. And it's okay to feel that, go through it, feel the emotion, but also know that better days are ahead, but just don't stay there, right? So it's gave me the clarity that I needed to know that it's a daily choice to choose joy and choose this gratitude that has shown up in my world.
Wow. I want to give that space. We're gonna take like a couple seconds, moments of silence there. That's really powerful. I mean, that's amazing stuff right there.
Thank you.
Because
I'll
I
pray.
mean, well, a lot of people think that stuff is hogwash, or it's just make believe, and there are ripple effects that go through the world when
Hmm.
you express this stuff, and people feel it, and it's real stuff. And I've heard a quote before, like the success of your life is determined upon how many others that you've helped be successful in theirs. And I think there's some truth to that. So I really
Hmm.
appreciate you sharing. That's amazing stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's also a reminder of how like we all need each other and it's just one thing that you can say, one thing that you can share that makes a difference. And if you do that, like Bree, in your example, you do that 10 people in those care calls in a day, think of
Mm-hmm.
like the onward effect of how many conversations they might have as well, right? If each one of those
Absolutely.
has just two, you've already doubled it. And
Mm-hmm.
like, and it's crazy the amount that you can put out there. It's like you've got to you've got to participate in your own recovery, right?
Yeah.
Whatever place you are in your life, whatever's going on, you've got to be your greatest fan. Like no one
Mm-hmm.
else is coming to save you. And when you create that for yourself, those things show up for you anyway. And so it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, whichever way you go. Like you said, it's a choice. The
Yep.
Yeah.
baseline is, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up every day? And yeah, there's going to be times where you don't feel the best. And they're the times where you need to show up the most, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's always that place. But give
Yes.
yourself the grace. And but I also, which is interesting as well, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, Bree. Like
Mm-hmm.
how that you'd spent that time going, like just being grateful on a frequent basis, having that association in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like because for me it's like you build a baseline of it. And I think what you're saying is that you didn't really need it, or you didn't feel like that you were using it until something really difficult happened, when you then you can realize it was there to kind of give you that cushion, give you that little, just a little bit of gap.
Yep.
Do you feel like that works that way, where you kind of build up the tolerance, if you will, like you build up like the little space, and even if you don't notice it, you're building it all the time. Does it feel like that for you?
Yeah, I think the difference was before it was like a kind of like a go-to, or I used it ad hoc, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
Because I would go back and when the memories show up on Facebook, and I'd see like from 2 years before when I would show up in gratitude, and it's also a way to hear the growth. But before it was more so like, as needed, I'll take it off the shelf, and today is a day that I want to be grateful for. But I think in the years past, and especially with this year, having the most heartbreaking year of my life, it's been not just an ad hoc thing that you pick up and put down as needed, but it really is a state of mind. Like my goal is to be in a continual state of gratitude, because that also attracts people of like mind and energy to me. And because if I choose to focus on the things that I'm like that bring me down, then that's I'm gonna attract into my world. And I just think, especially with this year that has just hit us left and right with so much uncertainty, so much emotion, and just a lot. It's just a lot. And in an effort to continually protect my peace, it's just been like my, almost you could say, my coping mechanism of sorts, of just kind of hiding out and basking in gratitude, and understanding that there's going to be days, and it's all relative, but as long as I hang out where the sun is shining, then and the gratitude, and that's what I'm going to, as we say in the business, what you focus on expands, and that's what's going to expand in my world. I want the goodness to expand, not the bad.
Mm, yeah. So powerful. I'm curious, Bree, here's a question for you.
Hmm.
What do you have because of the gratitude that you've expressed that you wouldn't have had if you didn't?
Oh my gosh. I if I didn't have gratitude, I'd have like baggy eyes because I'd be always crying, looking a hot mess. No. Um, for me, oh my gosh. So in this pandemic, there was a group of like agents in my company that we've all jumped on a Zoom call and been on this call every single day, and just through the uncertainty to where we've fostered some amazing relationships. And to me, what this has brought on is the relationships, because I'm known now as the queen of gratitude, but I appreciate that, and I will own that, because it's it's not like something that I walked around like, oh, call me Miss Gratitude. No, I have it because I experienced it. I believe it because I experienced it. And to me, it's not something to just take and bask in it and give it all. It's to be given away. So for me, it's given me a gift of just giving that away, right? And at any opportunity of giving that. And what we've learned and been taught, is, whenever we're in that place, and we all go through it, we're in a funk and we're just like, I hate this, and we're complaining and we're just talking about all the negative. It's just, it allows me to take a second, or to tell somebody and be like, I'll see it on Facebook and somebody's like, just complaining. And in my comment, I'll just say, what are you grateful for? And it's that changed thought, that switch thought of
Mm.
helping somebody else get out. So I think the best thing that I've gotten is a gift that I can give away in the way of gratitude. And it's my story, right? Like, I mean, we all have a story and of how we came here 4 score whatever years ago. But it's given my story like wings. Somebody else needs to hear that, even in spite of losing your sister, your sibling, your first best friend, that you can still persevere through that. You can still show up every day. You can still have the most amazing year in your real estate business in spite of the heartbreak that you've experienced.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And choice comes through again for me. Like no matter what, we have choice over mindset, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in this past year when we haven't had a lot of choice, right? There
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been a lot of choice, at least externally, with where we can go, what we're allowed to do, what we have to, the precautions that we have to take.
Right.
We always have some internal choice, and it's such a great reminder because I don't know, a lot of people wouldn't be okay if that weren't the case. And I think this has maybe forced people to contemplate some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another opportunity. Like, thank you for the bad situation, because it made me just appreciate some of the good stuff I've been
Yeah,
overlooking, taking for granted.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of it, is just realizing that in that choice, um, it's contagious. Like, you can be around a bunch of people that rather focus on the problem and not the plan, or you can be around folks that want to focus on the plan and what is working well. We had a conversation today with this same group, and they were talking about, how Zillow is like just taking over showing time and all this stuff. And I was like, we were just saying and right? Like, and I said the comment of, if it's in this season, if it's not adding a comma to my bank account or joy in my heart, let it go. Yes, Nick, let it go. Like, we've got to protect our peace, because what 2020 taught us is that the world as we knew it and know it has forever changed. So like, all we can focus on is like what is currently right here today in our face, and that's the best way that I choose to show up, more first and foremost for myself, and to the people that matter to me the most.
Boom. Yeah. See, you said it, Bree. What you focus on expands.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say what you focus on is what you get.
Yep.
Right. So it's everything. Like it's those like it's if you focus on what's wrong, then you'll get more of what's wrong. If you focus on what's right, then you'll get more of what's right. It's just
Yeah.
choose. Like, should be 5% of the time on the problem, 95% on the solution.
Yep.
And like I love it. Like that the example you gave of the post, like something that's negative, something that's negative, something's negative. What are you grateful for today? Because the quickest way to focus your mind is a question.
Yep.
Bam, you're back to it, right? Like it can be that quick, but people don't see it. So it's so cool to have people that are spreading that message to get people back to where it is. And like one of the fundamental beliefs I have as a coach is that anything's possible. Anyone could do anything they want. It's
Yep.
just once you realize that, it's just a question of commitment and priority, right? And you're another story proof of that. And so thank you for sharing like your things that you've gone through, the growth that you've experienced has allowed you to contribute back and create more for everyone else. Like here's another example. Here's another example. Like you're a great example. Like anything's possible. In fact, I can have the best year ever when
Mm-hmm.
everything around it seems to be the externally it's everything's could be the worst year ever. No,
Yeah.
not the case, right?
Yeah.
You got to stand guard at the door of your mind and protect what goes in there, because like you said, it's contagious.
Yeah.
Like you start to see it. Like if you're in that mindset of like anything's possible, and all I've got to do is focus on what I can control, then what you can control expands, and then you'll see
Mhm.
more of it, and then you start bringing people in, and they'll start seeing more of it, and then you can change the world that way. I mean, it's no other way to do it, right?
Yep,
That's
there's no
it.
other way to do it.
There's no
And
other
then
way to do
you get to allow like the good things, because you see in 2020 it didn't quite end on a heartbreaking note. I got engaged to the love of my life in October. So it's like when I talk about 2020, I'm like, oh, I'm glad 2020 is gone, right? It's like it's the way of the world, and there's gonna be some heartbreaking times that take you the breath out of you, right? And there's going to be some amazing times that fill those lungs up and fill your heart up with so much joy that you got to kind of find that balance in between Find that balance in between and know that you're gonna go. It's gonna be good. Go there. It's gonna be some dark times. Go there. But make your way back to the middle, just so that you can have perspective of things that come along.
Right, right. It's like it's a reminder for me is that it's not the events of our lives that determine the quality of our lives. It's our perspective of those events. And even if it's something that, like, seemingly from the outside is a what everyone will see as a positive thing, you also get to choose how much positive you want to take out of that, right? Like if it's something that people see as a positive thing, then you can choose to see that as like 20 times as positive if that person sees it, like the depth of which what that means to you, right? Like that's
Yeah.
there's also that available, which is so cool, right? It's like it's double down on the stuff that people already perceive as great,
Mm-hmm.
and then also the stuff that people perceive as not great. What can we learn here? Like what's the lesson here that I wouldn't have got otherwise? Like what am I willing to take from this, which not only can change my life, but I can have a ripple down effect for everyone else as well, right?
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
You mentioned a couple of things, Nick. Changing lives and changing the world, improving the world. Like, seems like very like daunting things, right? There's a lot at stake. This is a big deal that we're talking about here. So, I just like to point out, like, the world is made up of people, right? And you could only get to the second person by doing the first one, right? So
Yeah.
there is this ripple effect, and I think there is this, I don't know, this consciousness that's kind of rippling through everybody. Like, think of who's going to view this. And I guess this is kind of where I want to go and maybe end here is for somebody who, we all get the concept of gratitude, but it's the hardest thing to do when you're in that negative situation. So maybe we can go around, just give some advice for best practice or a tip that you use even when times are tough.
Hmm. Great question. I would say me realizing that it's a state of mind. I wish I would have had this mindset or state of mind early on. Not to say that it would have, made it to where like, oh, yep, that happened, dust it off my shoulder, on to the next. But it would have at least given me the clarity in, overall understanding the process. And I would say, get into the habit of just showing gratitude. There are days that I jump on my little gratitude post and I'm literally in the moment thinking of something that I'm grateful for. But what that does is it keeps me on my feet to say that there is always something to be grateful for. So getting in the habit of like writing in a journal, or even just waking up and reminding yourself on your phone, your iPhone reminder, just to say what are you grateful for it coming up to you. The other thing I would say is affirmations, right? Um, in order to build that muscle that is our mindset, we have to affirm ourselves and be the person that we want to be, or we affirm ourselves to be before we go out and do those things. So affirming myself or affirming yourself in I am going to conquer the world today, or I'm going to get X, I am going to do this, I am this. And the other thing is just like giving the bad thing like a time frame, right? Giving it an expired date or an expired
Mm,
time.
good one.
um it's like how long are you going to allow this to rob you of your joy, to steal you of your joy today? Is
Mm,
it for the next 5 minutes? Is it for the next 10 minutes? Is it today? Like understanding that you can't hang out in that space for too long, because you lose sight of the goodness, you lose sight of the opportunities that show themselves because you're so busy seeing it from a different perspective in a negative way. So I just say just those, that practicing the gratitude, writing it at every opportunity, reaching out to people, the affirmations, and of course, just getting in the practice of it. And then the last thing I would say is
mm,
giving yourself grace. We are all going through something in this season, especially after this uncanny world, this crazy that no one expected or anticipated. We're all going through something. There's struggles. People have lost loved ones to COVID. They've lost loved ones to different things. They've lost jobs. It's people are all over the place. Before you can give before you can give someone else grace, you got to give it to yourself, and just understand that whatever way you feel, it's okay. I coach newer real estate agents, And when I share the story about me losing my sister, I say, I don't share this with you for your sympathy because, and I appreciate it, I certainly do, but I share it with them to know that I am a example of when the most unfathomable thing can happen in your world, what it means to get knocked down,
Mm,
take the blow, get up, and keep going. I'll never get over the fact that my sister's gone. I'll never get past that. I'll just learn different ways to deal and cope with it every day. And in all of that, I will continue to stay in gratitude. So just really understanding that you're not alone. Whoever's within listening of my voice, you're not alone. There are people that are going exactly through what you're going through and worse. But find your tribe is the last thing. Find your tribe, the people that have the like mindset and sharing that gratitude and that continue to lift you up, right? Just finding your people, affirming yourself, staying in gratitude, and giving yourself grace.
ladies and gentlemen, the queen of gratitude. Nick, I think we can agree. We're not going to go, right? That was good right there. It was kind of all encompassing. Unless you had something to add, Nick, I won't rob you of that. Okay, he's good.
I don't want to say a thing. That's beautiful. Thank you, Bree.
Yeah, no, Bree, thank you. Thank you very much. This is, this is very touching, and for you to share your story and be, to use it as something, as a beacon of light for, like you said, in like such a terrible situation, but for you to almost be ignited by that and take it a step further is going to touch a lot of people. So thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful to you, Nick, for extending the invitation and just for me to come on. This is my first podcast. Ooh,
Wow.
being on.
That's
So thank
awesome.
you for the opportunity. I just appreciate your friendship, Nick. And such a pleasure to meet you, Josh. And thank you for this opportunity to just come on and have this conversation around gratitude with you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Bree.
Keep spreading the love. Keep spreading the love. Thank you, Bree.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.